GHOne OV van has been one of the best vans I've used personally in this country. It runs a system where we are able to run on Dante to be able to do our broadcast mixed well also from this van.
I've used this OB van for quite a number of big productions, i.e. 3 music awards, the late President Rollis' state funeral, Miss Africa awards, and a number of them.
It's another beautiful day here. It's Thursday here, the 29th day of May 2025. Good morning and welcome to our show today here on GHOne television. So yes, I'm sure that if you did not wake up quite excited, well, that's why you should tune in now, because from now till 10 a.m. we'll keep you company and ensure that we are educating you, we are informing you and entertaining you with premium content right here on the show. So this morning, there's quite a lot to talk about. Chairman Wontumi's issue here and there, Parliament also reconvening, and the Speaker being very firm in his assertions of what should not be the conduct of MPs, among others. And the CJ, people say that her woes have thickened. Is that really the case after the unanimous decision from the Supreme Court yesterday? Well, we'll be delving into all those issues. We'll also have conversations later on in the show for you, bringing the latest in the world of sports and also in the courts, because yes, Chelsea, yeah, they've been able to secure a cup, that trophy there. And so, so much information for you here on the show, so much content for you, and that's what we're about. So from now to 10 a.m., please be with us and also join us on social media, because we're really active there on Facebook, on YouTube, and on X at GHOne TV. But let's kickstart this morning with the quote of the day. And this morning's quote is from Abraham Lincoln. He says, "You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today." You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today. So it's also said that if you run away from your fight today, you'll live tomorrow to fight it. And so whatever it is that you need to confront it today, confront it now. Let's bring you the word of the day.
Today's word is S-A-G-E, sage. Sage, it's an adjective. To be sage means to be wise, especially because you have great experience. Let's exemplify it. Bright's sage grandfather taught him to always look out for the best in people. Sage.
All right, extra tall guy bringing us the word of the day, sage. And yes, that's what you get today from the show. Bring a lot of wisdom here. Our guests are ready to also share with us some wisdom on the show. But let's now look at the video of the day. It's a classic. It's a classic, and thank you guys for making this lovely. And we're starting the day off with this wonderful one. It's a throwback Thursday on the show, and so yes, what better one than to break two people who just make music so beautiful. But where is Asem? Asem, where are you? Anyways, we'll talk about that later. But let's zoom straight into Inside Out for this morning. So this morning, yesterday we saw a press statement from the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association of Ghana. They indicated that on the 2nd of June, directing all members to proceed on strike over some matters relating to their conditions of service, the collective bargaining agreement, among others. And then later in the night, we also saw another statement from 4 groups. The Union of Professional Nurses and Midwives Association and the Ghana Registered Midwives Association and 2 other groups. They said that they were not going to be a part of this particular strike that has been declared by the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. Now, they had some concerns as well. And thankfully, this morning, we are going to zoom into that conversation and get to understand exactly what those concerns are. And John Agbenyavu is PRO, National PRO for the Union of Professional Nurses and Midwives Ghana. And let's find out from him, really, why they have decided not to be a part of this and why they are also asking their members to refrain from this particular decision. John, thank you for joining me this morning. And so really, what is the reason why you are not a part of the strike? Is it that you're not concerned about your conditions of service?
Good morning to you and good morning to nurses and midwives across the country and good morning to all UPNG members. In fact, I want to reiterate that UPNG is one of the unions that is interested in the welfare of all nurses and midwives across the country. And we have been one of the unions that have consistently asked for the condition of service to be implemented. In fact, our interest in this condition of service has pushed us to the point where we have written several letters, even during the time of the negotiation, to GHOne to understand where we have gotten to so far and what we have gotten as part of the condition of service in 2024. And so the welfare of nurses and midwives is the core of the union, and we pursue that to the logical conclusion. But something happened, and that is why we have taken a decision. We believe that the right thing must be done and at all times. And we also believe that we will have to do things with some processes that are required to do the things that we are doing. And so the issue of the strike is important as also following the processes that are required to ensure that the right things are done.
Right. And so what are these right things that you want done? For which reason you are dissociating yourself? The other 3 groups are also dissociating themselves from this particular action.
Okay, so first of all, the labor regulations are clear on how unions within a particular profession, so long as there are more than one, should behave when it comes to the collective agreement for members. And so we believe that the union with the bargaining certificate is expected to respect other unions within the profession so that we can have a collective front. In fact, it will be surprising for anyone to understand that a union who holds bargaining certificate want to impose decision made by their neck on other unions, which is not possible. And so we believe that it is important for the union that holds the bargaining certificate to understand that other unions are also important and they have followers with whom they are supposed to commune with and then get an understanding of the issues before they can come back and make a decision. In fact, on Tuesday, the leadership of the various unions, including the GHOne, met on Zoom, and then the agreement was that on Friday, we are going to come back to make a determination on the matter, on the roadmap, on how we are going to, tackle the issue. And before that, we had released a statement indicating that the Minister of Finance have called us to meet them on the 18th of June, even though that might be long, so that we can finalize the issue. And so it came as a surprise when, after we had all agreed that on Friday we were going to meet for GHOne to come out to tell us that they are going ahead with the roadmap. And we said, okay, if that's the decision, if you cannot respect others, then we can allow you to go ahead. But for us, we'll wash our hands off this whole thing. So, like I said,
right,
the condition of service implementation is at the core of the union, and we'll follow it with process. We don't want to use nurses and midwives for political gains. You understand? And so we are playing some political football with the whole thing, and so we believe that there are processes we can follow to get this done.
So is it the case that you were not basically roped in before this final decision of embarking on a strike was taken? The other unions were not roped in.
Yeah, so if you look at the press conference they held, they were the only unions there. And if you were brought in, you would have realized there would have been a unified front for that particular press conference. And we don't have any problem doing that. Okay, so you cannot inform us at the eve of the press conference that you are inviting the unions to come. I stay all the way in the Savannah region. And so if you invite me 12 midnight, that tomorrow morning at 1, you are having a press conference so unions should represent. Is that not strategic to remove other unions? And also you set aside the decision that we all took collectively. In fact, she was key in that meeting. And the decision we took was that the other unions should commune with their constituents and come back on Friday for us to chart a roadmap. And so if not being controlled by someone or for parochial interest, what is the reason for actually coming up with this particular roadmap? Mind you, the roadmap is not even starting almost immediately. The roadmap is starting in June. And so what happened to us on Friday if we all have come together to understand the issues and chart a way forward?
Right.
What exactly pushing for this strike?
So as it stands now, what is the directive to your members to not to be a part of the strike that is declared effective 2nd June?
Obviously, as we have stated in our press release, we are not taking part in this strike. Nonetheless, we are going to use legitimate means to get our condition of service implemented.
Right.
Like I mentioned, the Minister of Finance have called us for, as it were, some discussion on the matter on the 18th of June, and we have made that known to our members. And so we will follow this logically. In fact, we are only blowing hot air because this whole strike thing, in fact, if you look at the reaction of nurses and midwives across various platforms concerning this strike, it will tell you that nurses and midwives are not interested in this strike, okay, because they know what exactly is going on. And so we should not use the ordinary nurse and midwives for political gains. We must do the things right. And so we are calling on all our members to remain at post. Mind you, they are even conducting headcounts. And so calling on members to go on strike whilst headcount is ongoing, some people will come back and their salaries are struck out. And also, as we speak, by next week, almost all these union leaders will be out of the country for International Labour Conference in Geneva. So you are calling strike for who to stay in Ghana and honor that strike. When they go out there and fall sick, they will get a health facility to attend.
Right. We
are calling on strike and then we will leave. And so the question I ask is that when they are out of the country by next week and the government calls for negotiation, who will even attend that negotiation? And so the whole thing you will not understand. And so it means that there is more to this whole strike thing than we are seeing. And so we are telling our members that stay at post and work. The condition of service will be implemented as the government promised to implement it.
And how are your members reacting to all of this? You know, the back and forth, one union saying this, the other union saying that.
Yes, amazingly, we have full support of our members because they understand the issues and they also know that we cannot sacrifice the life of the Ghanaians because of this. And the reason is that we have gone through this because of the ego of the very union that we are talking about. In fact, this condition of service was supposed to be implemented July 2024. But because of the failure on their part to do the right things, we have dragged this into court and came back and we are here today. And so if the same union is going back to do the wrong things, I believe that nurses and midwives are reasonable enough to understand that this whole thing is a political game and nobody will back to it. And so the support base is very high. Members are happy that we have taken this decision and they are not willing to join. It's only a few people who feel that, yes, this is the way to go. But once we explain to them to understand, they will come to a conclusion that no, the right thing to do, remain at post. Let's use dialogue to get this thing done as soon as possible.
Very well. John, thank you. Thank you so much for engaging with us this morning. And we are hoping that we get to see some level playing field in terms of the unions in the health sector, because you are very critical to us, but grateful for your time this morning. So that's John Agbenyavu, his national PR for the Union of Professional Nurses and Midwives Ghana, speaking to us on that divided front on the nursing side because of their conditions of service and then the collective agreements. So the GRNMA says that effective June 2, embark on a strike 4 other unions say, well, no, that cannot be the case. Let's use other means to get our grievances addressed. Well, we'll see how it all rolls in the coming days. Well, this is still GH Today here on GHOne Television. We'll take a breather here. When we do return, we've got more for you on the show. Stay with us.
I hear the birds singing, now my alarm ringing. Get up, get up.
We are coming for you.
This is mob justice.
When there are secrets that need to be told.
Their managers sexually abuse them, and this has gone on for decades.
When there are wrongs that need to be put right.
They're still firing, they're still shooting.
Our journalists risk it all to expose the truth and help drive the change.
You sold to one of our informants a child for 300,000.
Search BBC Africa Eye and uncover the stories that matter.
You're active on the hottest, most fuego, the dopest show coming to you live from the motherland, live from the 233.
Welcome to Rhythms 1-on-1 right here on your favorite TV station.
to set the tone for what his title reign will mean to WWE. Oh, look who's hit there! McDonough, save
In case you're wondering what all of these cars have in common, they all have four wheels. Well, there goes that theory.
This may be bull market, but we're not actually motivated by the money. See, we collect classic cars because they're fun. But most times, there's something more to it than that. Right. I say this to people all the time when they ask about really fast cars. It doesn't matter how fast the car is. Eventually, you get used to it. If I'm going to drive something without a clutch pedal, might as well be electric. What? When the R8 came out, the world stopped and stared. We'd never seen a shape like this before.
Can we make a toast for the ladies? This week on Toast.
Palms or your hands, you want to start lowering your upper body as well. Make sure that your lower body or your hip bone is still seated firmly on the mat, still with your legs crossed together in easy pose. So gently, still inhaling, you're going to drop with palms on the mat, exhale out.
We take a deep dive into the true essence of yoga, debunk common myths, and explore whether it's a practice truly worth embracing.
What's the most outrageous thing you've ever heard about yoga?
Before I experienced yoga myself with the work that I do at the honeypots, but yeah, I used to also have some thoughts that people will go out of their bed.
Every time I've seen or heard something about yoga, it's like you're opening your third eye, you're opening your chakra. Man, why do I want to go and see? What do I want to go and see that I want to be the eye? One day you will go and you will not be the person that will come back.
Where is this spirit thing coming from? It's a myth. You know, it is. It's a myth that we have to debunk.
Toast is brought to you by GBH Hair Relaxer Cream and Crickover Wines and Champagne.
Prophet Emmanuel O'Malley of Divine Hand of God Nigeria is coming to Ghana at Eternal Life Church. In a world searching for answers, comes a move of God that will shake the atmosphere.
Ghana! 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 O'Malley is coming! You want to destroy our job?
Yes!
Huh?
I want to destroy her job.
Host, Bishop Dr. E.O. Ansah, General Overseer of ELC.
Somebody shout power!
Yes.
And guest speaker, Prophet Emmanuel O'Malley from Nigeria.
And anywhere O'Malley enter, door open. Anywhere O'Malley enter, demon bow.
Date and time, Tuesday, June 3rd, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., Wednesday to Friday, 4th to 6th June, 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. Venue, Favor Center, near UPSA, behind Adidas shop, opposite Prince of Peace School.
Hello there, and you're most welcome to your number one personality show, Star Chats. Will you say on authority that you feel unsafe in Ghana now? Is that what it is?
There was a day my wife was weeping and saying that I'm too young to be a widow.
Oh.
Any nation that sleeps becomes a poor country. In the whole world, America doesn't sleep, UK doesn't sleep, Africa we are sleeping. That's why Africa is poor.
The elections we are going to have now, we have to be careful. Are you worried? I am worried. I am worried because of the behavior of the Electoral Commission.
How much was used to clean up?
How much was used doesn't mean that if you had the 12 billion, the banks will survive. How many banks were given 800 million cedis to survive and they squandered the money?
You got your men out there to disconnect the arm of government, I mean, the legislature. Why so?
You said Parliament was working.
Yes.
What was ECG doing?
ECG was working.
Okay. Next question.
I believe the future for Ghana is for different forces, different political orientations to work together for development.
People tend to think that illegal small-scale mining is probably the biggest issue that we're having to deal with.
It's not?
Well, it's one of the big issues, but land administration is a nightmare as well.
Borders, the roads, the African borders, navigating them. What are some of the difficulties, Kodjo? Because
generally, crossing borders in West Africa is just crazy.
Did you have to pay bribes?
Sometimes you just have to pay and have your peace of mind and walk up.
No, that is corruption.
No, it's not corruption.
Because you paid.
If you don't pay, you will come back.
Hi everyone, this is Her Royal Highness Nana Ama Brown. You know, I was on Star Chat with Bola Ray, and I don't want you to miss it. Please watch on GHOne.
Well, thank you so much for staying on with us here on GH today on GHOne television. It's time to bring you sports charts, and the man who is not too much in a happy mood today, Jones ADZI, has joined me. Jones, it looks like Charlie, today you don't want to. You are not in a certain mood. What is wrong?
Yeah. Black Stars, dear,
You know, yesterday on radio you were doing pam. Oh, that Black Stars. I mean, come on, two goals, not knowing whether one's going to go down by 2 goals. Oh, it is well.
Lantam will say that we Black Stars are Jacob. This was a chance for us. The Unity Cup.
The Unity Cup.
The Utuado J.
In Ghana too, we have unity.
It was just a friendly game.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, congratulations to Nigeria. They beat Ghana. The good thing was that the game was played in London.
Yes.
And the spectators were there in their numbers. And, you know, in London, we have a lot of Ghanaians and a lot of Nigerians there.
Yeah.
Charlie? Because you know how Nigerians will be, but then 2 goals. First goal, as you can see on your screens now, from Cyril Dessers, and then we got an own goal, a deflected one from Razak Simpson of Nations FC. Sam Ajayi, a tall figure there, he got the ball and then he deflected off Razak Simpson. Past goalkeeper Benjamin Asare, but then Ghana got a consolation from Thomas Brandon Asante, to make it 2-1. So congratulations to Nigeria. They've qualified for the finals of the Unity Cup. They would face Jamaica on Sunday. The Reggae Boys, we hope that they can do well. We are supporting Jamaica. Go on and beat Nigeria for us on Saturday. So Ghana will be in the 3rd place game against Trinidad and Tobago. A lot of people say tobacco, but it's not tobacco. Let's move on and say congratulations to Chelsea. Yes, Chelsea. They are champions of the Conference League. And they're saying a good morning to Sports Atom, and then of course to Demon. Is Joseph? He's our sound guy. He's the reason why you can hear me this morning. Chelsea fan, they're always disturbing my life, but congratulations to them. And I mean, it was a good one. They had to come back from a goal down and get that win there yesterday. So the first goal, as you can see, was scored by Robert Tees, but then Chelsea came back strongly in the second half. A brilliant assist, 2 assists from Boamah, Enzo Fernandez getting the goal, Jackson getting the 2-1, and then we saw 3rd goals coming in from the likes of Moses Caicedo, who scored the last one actually, and then Sancho getting 3rd one as well. So congratulations to Chelsea. They are the first team to win the UEFA Champions League, the Europa League, and the Conference League. No team has done that. Congratulations to Chelsea. Let's quickly move on and then do some basketball. Yes, because some results happened at the EOCO Sports Stadium, and we start off from the Ghana League. Yes, because in the GRA's game versus the University of Ghana, it was just 1 point, and let's see the full results from the Ghana Accra Basketball League. So University of Ghana, they beat GRA by just 1 point. It was a thrilling game yesterday as University of Ghana beat the Ghana Revenue Authority in the Accra Basketball League at the EOCO Sports Stadium. So just 1 point game. It was interesting. And then, as I always say, make sure you get to the EOCO Sports Stadium every evening from Tuesday to Saturday to enjoy some good basketball. And then in the women's category, let's get to see the women's category. Galaxy, they lost to the Police at 25-53, and the Reformers beat the Aces 51-44. Still on basketball, this time the NBA playoffs, and congratulations to the Oklahoma City Thunder. They have made it to the NBA Finals for the first time since 20. For the winner of that game tonight. But then the OKC are through, winning in Game 5. And that game ended 124 to 109. Congratulations to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Right? Josh, that should do it for the sports update this morning. There is the game at 1 p.m. Yesterday we promised to bring the boxers who made Ghana proud They were in South Africa over the weekend. They won 3 gold medals. We'll be bringing them to the studios right here at 1 p.m. With GHOne and then Monica Bukari.
Right.
And then, of course, the Star Sports Digest will be coming on Star 103.5 FM from Monday, 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m.
So from the 2nd of June.
Exactly.
Sharp.
And then you go fill up.
So that's where we get to enjoy you and Benghazi.
Yes.
On
12:30 to 2 p.m.
My goodness.
Vibes on
So for the sports lovers, those who love to hear the sports on radio, Sports Digest, it's on from Monday, the 2nd of June, from 12:30. Right after the news, we're zooming straight into sports for 1 hour 30 minutes on Star 103.5 FM. But on GH1 television at 1 p.m. we have the game. Joel and Monica will be on your screens with the game. Jones, thank you so much.
The outside.
ADZI bringing a sports chat there.
Let me just say good morning to my uncle. Yeah. There's a saying that we left home to feed home, but we call home to send us money. So is you saying a good morning to Mr. William Macron. He always would watch this show, no matter what, every morning. So when I'm not there, he calls me, Jones, my sports, and saying a good morning to Mr. William Macron in Ho right now, senior postmaster.
I'm going to Ho in June.
We'll give you cassava. We have cassava.
I'll spend a weekend in Ho in June. Anyway, so this is GH today on GH1 television. We have the newspaper review segment also coming up shortly after this. Take and stay with us. Well, it's 7:32 a.m. and we need to zoom into the breakfast review segment. And this morning we'll be looking at quite a myriad of issues on the show and having discussions with the Member of Parliament for Afadjato South, Frank Effia, as well as the Member of Parliament for Effia, Isaac Boamah Nyarko, who would also be joining us shortly. But let me come to my guest here, the Member of Parliament for Afadjato South, Frank Effia, who is currently in studio with me. Honourable, welcome.
Thank you very much.
I hope you're doing well.
Absolutely well. And thank you for the opportunity.
Fantastic.
Yourself and your crew, you are doing so well for Mother Ghana.
Thank you.
We pray for God's mercy for you.
Thank you. Thank you. So how's the constituency doing?
Well, I mean, the constituency is very well, save for the pressure. But then we are well aware of the nature of the job before applying for it. So at all times material.
Right.
Ours is to see how best we are able to accommodate the challenges. And I reason with the people, they understand, particularly my constituents, the good people of Afadjato South. These are hardworking human beings, the best you can find anywhere. Very cooperative, very understanding. And so I use the recess period to touch base with almost every community in Afadjato South.
Wow.
We have a unique terrain. A couple of communities are on the mountain, a couple are in the valleys. I mean, so it's a very unique and diverse area. Of course, an area where you have the highest mountain in the whole of Ghana, and you have a lot of riverine communities as well. Traversing this landscape is extremely difficult, but I use the recess period to navigate, that particular task, and then it's been a very joyous season. We bonded together. I listened to their challenges. Those that we could do, we have started. Those that we need to wait for resources and central government intervention, we are praying, and I think that we have abiding faith in the Mahama-led administration, and then the fidelity the people have shown this particular government and the NDC in general is overwhelming, and so we believe from that standpoint, they will be able to reciprocate and then deliver the goods that the people are expecting.
Right. But what's your vision for the people of Afadjato South?
Of course, I mean, massive transformation. My forebears, my predecessors, from the Honorable Kosi Kedem to Honorable Amenalde to the immediate past MP, Honorable Angela, they have done extremely well. But we still have challenges with unemployment. We still have challenges with poverty. We still have challenges with delivery of basic needs, welfare needs, goods and services. And so these are my immediate priority areas. And of course, it calls for transformation. It calls for brand addition. We have a lot of natural endowment that we can leverage on, i.e., the Afadjato mountain that I talk about, or the Mount Afadja. Of course, then Tafiato, Monkey Sanctuary, and a plethora of such tourist attraction sites that, of course, we can add value. Add value in this sense that the road network to these areas are pretty bad.
Because that's what the complaint usually is.
Pretty
that
bad.
We have all these fine areas, these great tourist attraction sites, but how to get there becomes the challenge.
Absolutely. And for us, I think that this is exacerbated by the fact that we share immediate border with Togo. And so the network challenge is also an issue.
Okay.
Sometimes the people find it extremely difficult to communicate. And it's not just the indigents. If you are a tourist and you get to that enclave too, you have network challenges. So we have begun some measures with GIFEC and then some other state institutions to see how best we are able to ameliorate the network challenge issue. And once we are able to sort that out, once we are able to give the road a facelift, the people who have job, because tourists will come in their numbers, once they have job, they'll have revenue or sources of livelihood, and then that will help them to improve their standard of living.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, let's zoom into the conversations for this morning. So yesterday, the Supreme Court sat and unanimously threw out the injunction filed by the Chief Justice herself over her potential removal, as is the case. What do you make of that?
Well, thank you so much. Of course, what we are seeing is just a beautiful walk down our democratic journey. all the advanced jurisdictions that we have seen, America, United Kingdom, and all, they've gone through these phases, and then we are where they have been several years ago.
Okay.
And so if you look at the journey we have traversed so far, it's nothing new. Everything is embedded in this book, which is the 1992 Constitution of Ghana, and of course is the chief rule book of the Republic. And so we are witnessing an advanced form of the journey we started, which of course ultimately will purify our constitutional jurisprudence. It is a measure that will enhance and entrench the democracy that we have elected to practice. And for me, I think that it's far, far, far better than military interventions and in their excesses. And so far, they say the law lies in the bosom of the judge. Unfortunately, the chief judge herself is caught before the law. And it is the interpretative power that they have that must be exercised. If you take this rules book, which is the Constitution, the president can be removed from office as enshrined in Article 69. And if you look at it critically, the processes that would trigger the removal of the president, the Speaker of Parliament is involved. Members of Parliament are involved. Ultimately, the Chief Justice herself is involved. Okay? And so, if this whole judicial arrangement, as we are seeing in the case of the Chief Justice, concerns another justice of the Supreme Court, it is the case that the Chief Justice herself will preside over it. As we saw in the Anas case, I think you recall the Anas case, where Chief Justice Georgina Wood had to empanel and then walk down a particular road, and then ultimately the report was presented to the president then, and a good number of judges were fired based on the Anas's expose. Absolutely. And so when you come to Parliament, the Speaker of Parliament enjoys immunity, but this is not an absolute firewall that is built around him. Once there is an aberration of the law, the Speaker of Parliament himself will suffer it. And then that will be triggered by who? Members of Parliament. And we walk through a set of constitutional procedures. And so what is vital over here is that we ask ourselves, has the individual consent abridged or violated any provision of the law? If there is, how are we walking the constitutional process in order to ensure that there is a punitive action for that violation? And so all three arms of government, they have enough buffers to ensure that there is no abuse by the citizenry. At the same time, these buffers are not absolute. Anytime you go in excess of it, you go and then beyond the boundary, you step out of boundary, yet there are punitive actions for you to go through. And so we are simply witnessing what we call citizen accountability. In the particular case of the Chief Justice, the ongoing exercise, I believe, ultimately will deepen judicial independence, will enrich our jurisprudence, will enhance the principle of the rule of law, so that as far as the Constitution is concerned, the president is not any special human being than you or me. When we work well with the dictates of the Constitution, we are safe and protected by it. When you work contrary, the same constitutional provisions will deal with you irrespective of who you are. And so the processes have been started, and then based on the same constitutional rights that accrue to the Chief Justice, she has personally deposed to a set of supplementary affidavit, which of course appeared or was presented to the acting Chief Justice and a set of justices of the Supreme Court. In their superior wisdom, they have interpreted the Constitution once again, and they have given their ruling. And of course, which ruling is so clear, even though they are now they are yet to outdoor the reasoning behind the ruling. But we have all seen that all five, justices have, ruled against.
It was a unanimous decision.
Unanimous decision, and such unanimity, there is no debate about it. And so you ask, look, this whole thing about the law Is there any finality to it? Because one will wonder that, look, once upon a time, this is a woman who sat, the chief interpreter of the law. She goes to court, and yet not even one justice of the Supreme Court was able to reason with her. And so it tells you that the law itself is such an omnibus creature that you cannot put all rounds around it. So I think that we are gradually deepening our democracy. Look, if this whole thing concerns, as I said initially, the president, one will ask if the Chief Justice will refuse to work the constitutional processes or not. No, she will, because she's mandated to.
Right.
And so when you look at it, the president of the land, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, is not doing anything untoward. He's only complying with the Constitution, which Constitution says that in the event of any aberration, in the event of any misconduct, once it's triggered by a citizen or a number of citizens, you, the president, you draw your power from the citizenry. And so these are the set of rules we have. This is the way we expect you to work. And so the president duly consulted with the Council of State, and once they felt that there was a prima facie case, they established a committee, and the processes are unfolding. I would urge that, look, today is about Judge Wood, tomorrow it could be anybody, and so the processes at all material time must be clinically clean. There must be any ambiguity. Every citizen must have their right, not curtail, but they should be able to enforce it. And then we have seen that the Chief Justice herself, has been able to go to court. But for me, sometimes the things that those of us who are privileged enough to be in power of authority, the things that the ordinary man goes through and doesn't complain are the very things that we complain about. And so when you look at a supplementary affidavit, part of it appears a bit ridiculous, if you ask me, for lack of a better word. Look, the Chief Justice made a point that...
The supplementary affidavit she filed?
Yes. She made the point that, look, whilst attempting to go to the court, body searches were done. And in the process...
The Boamah committee, when she was appearing before the committee.
Good.
She was searched.
Yes, she was
searched. Not allowed.
Absolutely. And so you see, she also made a point that, look, she was searched not by a female, but then by a male, individual who conducted those searches. But you ask me, look, we all go to public places where, for security's sake, anyone at all can search you. These searches do not involve removal of your dresses or anything. But if indeed that amounts to violation of her right, then you can imagine the right of how many other individual Ghanaians were violated long ago.
But she was specific, and it was contextual. That yes, she started by telling us that the whole setup of the place was intimidating, and then to have her phones taken, that of her family also taken, and then she being searched in the way and manner in which it was done. That's what she found problematic.
How should it be problematic? How many times haven't you visited state institutions where, for some of these institutions, it is made ultimately clear to you that phones are not allowed? You go to the IGP's office this morning, you attempt to see the IGP and many other institutions. Clearly, it is the case that you will not be allowed to send your phone there. I think that there are rules, internal rules that govern our conduct in every institution.
Right.
And so, where I find it problematic is the very insignificant things that maybe she complained about.
You see that as insignificant?
Highly insignificant.
Because she mentioned that usually when cases like this are conducted, it's the law courts. You go to the court complex, there are conference rooms where, but why decide to go to the Osu Castle? Very intimidating. And that's the word she used.
I think that at the very least, she should rather applaud the committee. The Osu Castle once upon used to be the seat of the presidency, isn't it? What's intimidating about it? Were there soldiers? Has there been any breach of the Constitution? No. And so in the supreme wisdom of this committee, if they choose to say that, look, we want to isolate the hearing from within the premises of the normal, usual court. We want to give you an environment where there's less noise, and whichever reason that they may have adduced. If it's the case that she got there and there were other intimidating tactics, we expect that she should unroll those intimidating tactics before the public. Then we peruse and then we see if indeed her rights were violated. But just to say that the castle itself was intimidating, I mean, it doesn't paint a good picture.
Right.
Yes. She's been to the castle many times, or has she not?
Well, you and I cannot tell. You and I cannot tell whether she's been there. But clearly, she has had those issues raised. And we've also been joined in studio by the Member of Parliament for Effia in the person of Isaac Boamah Nyarko. Honorable, welcome.
Thank you very much.
I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing good.
And how are people doing Effia?
Effia is doing very well. Yeah, we just came back on Monday from the constituency.
Yes.
A lot of activities. We had one major football match between Base Paradise from my constituency, trying to get promotion to the first division. Unfortunately, we lost.
Sad was there.
But it helped us to have another perspective as to the development of football,
right,
and the talent that we have as a country. Yesterday, watching the Black Stars lose to Nigeria 2-1. Very bad first half, but promising second half. It tells you that we still have a long way to go in terms of our football development. So the next talent, we are building them from Effia. Western region. You know, Western region used to be a major exporter of football talent in this country. Yeah, so we want to bring back those.
You will bring back that glory. Interesting. But then it looks like the glory of the Chief Justice is not shining at all. In the Supreme Court,
right?
And like your colleague here put it, she prior to the suspension was a chief interpreter of the Constitution. Now she files constitutional issues, and then the justices of the court unanimously dismissed the injunction application. Yeah.
Thank you very much, and a very good morning to our cherished viewers. And to my good brother Frank, he's my friend on the other side. So normally when we meet like this, we know how we do it.
But
you know, this issue about the Chief Justice and what's going on in this country, I have made it clear that the precedent that we are setting is very dangerous. You see, nobody is against removal of a Chief Justice if the person has conducted him or herself in a way that is very, very incongruous to the position of the office of the high office of the Chief Justice. You see, when you read the Constitution and the requirements for someone to be a Chief Justice, it's one of the highest demands of a person, you know, whereby you want to establish the level of integrity of that individual to be able to serve in that office. I always say again that the judiciary is our last point of call. The executive can do what they are doing. Like you can see the raids, the arrest of people, the breaches of people's fundamental rights. That one is in the purview of the executive. The parliament that he and I serve, based on your majority, can also do anything you want to do. Come up with draconian laws or do anything that you want to do with the support of the executive. So it is only the judiciary that affords the Ghanaian the forum to have his rights protected. And that is why in the wisdom of the Constitution, the members that compose of the judiciary are supposed to be insulated from partisan political influence. What we are seeing over time, I'm not limiting it to NDC, but what we are seeing over time is the gradual politicization of the judiciary to do the bidding of the executive. NDC, when in opposition, complained bitterly about the appointment of justices to the Supreme Court or to the Superior Courts, right from the High Court to the Court of Appeal and to the Supreme Court. They challenged the membership and composition of some of the people that were brought into that office. But when President Mahama was in opposition, he promised Ghanaians that the judiciary is not serving their cause. And so when he comes to power, he's going to make sure that he resets the judiciary. That was a tone he served the Ghanaian people. And that is exactly what the mission is. How on earth, in the wisdom of any reasonable person occupying the highest office of a president, come to the conclusion that the issues that have been raised by the petitioners against the Chief Justice forms adequate basis to remove somebody of that higher level? And I challenge the president. Look at the things that are happening in the office. Remember, somebody has been appointed into a National Health Insurance Authority board. Fake medical practitioner.
But
what did the president, what due diligence did he do?
The appointment has been revoked.
What due diligence did he do? What due diligence did he do? But we have left the president, giving him the power to appoint and to revoke. Who is challenging the president in that regard? So, if you want human beings to err, my brother is a good person. He knows to err is what? Human. You have to establish the weight of evidence or the crime or the offenses that you are bringing against the person to determine whether it makes sense to remove somebody of that office. So fast forward, the president has the power. He has initiated those actions. Look at even the lawyers of the president of the petitioners. Chachuchikata and then Thadio Sori. Chachuchikata is the president's counsel. Thadio Sori is the counsel to the Speaker of Parliament. Are you telling me, since when did they represent Daniel Ufori and those people in court? When the people were making their cases in court.
But I'm sure you've seen Thadio Sori's response.
Please.
The fact that he's even represented key people in the NPP.
Please.
So
I'm not saying
an NDC lawyer.
No. What I'm saying is that Thadio Sori that I know, the senior Thadio Sori that I know, and the cases that Thadio Sori admits and represents, if not for political expediency, the facts that are before us that Thadio Sori is representing is never going to have been except for political reason. I'm putting it to him on record. And I'm saying, is it not something that pricks the conscience of the ordinary Ghanaian that to remove a Chief Justice on such grounds, you have councils like Chachuchikata and Thadio Sori representing these people for the removal of the Chief Justice, clearly to complete the agenda set by the president, that before I get my agenda done in the judiciary, I need to remove the Chief Justice. So go ahead. He has set up the committee, isn't it? The committee began sitting, and the Chief Justice was supposed to appear before the committee's meetings. The Chief Justice at the first invitation asked his counsel to go and represent her. My friend and my brother, I'm a lawyer. If I have the permission of my client to represent me in court, and I show my face in court, when did the judiciary say that because my counsel, the person that I'm representing is not there, they are not even going to recognize my presence? When did we get there in this country? At least you will recognize me as counsel, hear me, and then give me further directives that in this matter we need that individual to be personally present. But you cannot ignore, completely throw away a lawfully accredited counsel who has a constitutional responsibility to represent someone. And the person comes to the committee and the committee tells him that get out of our face. So the council goes. Even before the council would when the Chief Justice was invited, she had to write and ask them the venue of the meeting. When did we begin to invite people for interrogation or to appear before a committee without notice of venue? Because they knew that the venue, if they put it on official record, people will have concerns about it. Why? If you say you are meeting, someone should come to one of the offices around the Osu Castle. When did we begin to use Osu Castle as official government premises for business? Since Rollins and Atamils left Usu Castle and we built Jubilee House, when on earth did you ever hear a committee set from John Mahama 1 to Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo 1 and 2 to John Mahama the second coming, where the castle became the place where you are calling people to come and receive? And
what's the problem with the castle?
It doesn't make sense.
How?
Because we have several government bungalows or buildings. You see, we have a history and a record where the history of the presence of Usukas, the setup. Have you been to national security offices before? The Blue Gate. Have you been there before? Yes. Have you entered there before? Have you entered the Usu Castle as it used to be? Have you entered there before? So if you are moved from a military regime into a democratic setup, there are certain places when you are invited to visit, the structure and the nature of those premises and the kind of security mechanisms that they will put. Nobody is saying that the Chief Justice will be killed, but the person is telling you that don't drive us through those dark old.
So for you, the venue does not send the right signal.
It's wrong. It's a committee of the president. We've had National Constitution Review Committee meetings. Yes. Why are they not going to the Usukasu to hold those meetings? We've had several committees set up by the president. Why are they not using Usukasu? If we have a history that committees set by presidents have been meeting in Usukasu for other purposes, and then this time too, you are asking people who have been going through a process to go through the Usukasu, then you and I will know that those premises have been well set up, they created for those purposes.
Council, you'd agree with me that we've never had an instance like this.
I'm saying
everything
that
about this is new.
This is a committee to meet on Chief Justice removal, and I'm saying we've had more bodies that have been set up, whether by the president or by ministers of state who meet every day in different locations. Even International Conference Center have been set up for committees and parliament to sit and do their deliberations. One parliament house was not meeting, one parliament was not meeting in that. Did we go to International Conference Center? So let me even leave the issue of the Usuka. But these are matters that when they are raised, it is not because someone is scared, but we are bringing back to the conscience of Ghanaians. But there are certain things that we are doing. It takes us back to the bad old days. Now, fast forward, the person goes to the committee, and the person is asking that I want my family. You are inviting me for a committee sitting, and I come with my husband, and I'm saying that I want my husband to be by me. The committee is saying that you are not entitled to any of your. Why? What is this? What is this? When did we get invitations that you cannot even go with your spouse? Even when you are being interrogated by national security and your wife is there, do they not permit you, based on those things, to at times have your wife there? Well, what is this?
And some have argued that perhaps if she had attended to the committee on day one, all these modalities would have been spelled out for her and it wouldn't have been a problem.
But day one, do you know the reason why she couldn't go, that she sent counsel? She has always made herself available for the committee's proceedings. So fast forward again, she has filed a motion to injunct the process, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then she filed a supplementary affidavit to support the reason why the injunction to be. Now we are back. When NDC were in power, they were saying, "Oh, unanimous Supreme Court decision, 5-0, 5-0, 5-1." Now they are getting unanimous decision. Have they started complaining? They've started getting unanimous, isn't it? Against the head of the Supreme Court. So if even Chief Justice, you are doing him 5-0, 5-0. Imagine what. And this is exactly the reset they are calling for. This is the reset. Let's overturn.
Isn't it also the case that these justices of the Supreme Court do not see merit in what the Chief Justice has presented, and so yes, they decided, because we've seen decisions, and it's been 4-1. Then we've seen dissenting views and dissenting opinions, but this time around it was unanimous. And
so
for some people, there's
I don't have a problem when you have reasoned decision. But I'm telling you, asking you, when NDC were getting 5-0, did they see sense in the judgment of the Supreme Court? Do you remember the castigations from Sami Jimfi, Sami George, Okujetua Blakwa, and the lawyers of NDC when they went to court and they were getting 0-5? So, if you are convinced, I have not read the judgment to make my own personal legal position on it. I'm not against 5-0, but I'm saying that when they were getting 0-5 from the Supreme Court, they went above the roof and made noise and cried to Ghanaians, the judiciary is compromised. The judiciary, the people that are giving them 5-0, are they not the same judges? Are they not the same judges?
Right.
So, what I am putting across is that the precedent, I'm very fine with what is happening to Justice Kodjo. I am very happy that she's availing herself, not resigning, so that we will get everything to its logical conclusion. Then we have it as a set of records. Everything that the Supreme Court is doing today is on record.
But Frank's argument is that yes, but
will come back.
The argument from Frank is that which part of the
Constitution
law has been breached?
Oh,
in all that we have seen, we just talked about. Indicates which part of the Constitution has been breached.
The first major position of the Chief Justice request the Supreme Court to injunct is that the President and the Council of State said there was a prima facie case for her to answer. She has said on record that she has not been previewed to the prima facie. So why am I here? The reason for bringing me to the committee is that there has been an establishment of prima facie against me. That is the case I'm coming to answer. As we speak now, she said I have not been served with the prima facie. So why am I here? Why am I here? Do you want me to go through a process before later you come and tell me why? Prima facie is just basic basis. The preliminary establishment, not of guilt, but of a question to answer.
Right.
Why are you not serving her with the prima facie? So that is the crux of the matter. Any other thing supplementary, whether my constitutional rights is being abused, my mental health is being challenged by this, is secondary.
Right.
The primary case, and that is why when you review the petitions, Boamah Nyarko, I'm not saying that the Chief Justice may not have erred in one way or the other, though I cannot even pinpoint, but as I always say, even in Parliament, the Speaker of Parliament is the President erred. He continued. Why? We are not in this country. The President left this jurisdiction. There was no Vice President. There was no Speaker of Parliament. A constitutional breach. Who has said that the President should be impeached? Because not that he may have intention, but the circumstances may not. But we lived it. People posted and said, even in the absence of all the three, Ghana still ran. Ghana will not collapse. Ghana will run. But why would you allow the country to run for a day or two without any executive power? So all these things are things that happen, and worse things happen that you don't hear. So if someone wants to remove you, they can always go for things. But does that thing constitute a fundamental or a substantial reason why the highest office of a Chief Justice will be removed in this country? And that is why I want journalists. And you see, the government is playing on what they call the goodwill of Ghanaians. Oh, enjoy it. Okay? Ghanaians are no fools. They are angry with MPP. That's why they voted against us. But everything that we are doing, we are not doing for NDC. The things that we are seeing, the way things are going, I'm saying, and you come, I'm sure we'll discuss the closure of the U.S. Embassy and let's be open. The things that we are seeing,
right?
I'm saying that the Chief Justice, the way we have treated her, what was her crime? That she was appointed by Akufo-Addo. Why? Those that are going to be appointed, are they not going to be appointed by political figures?
Right.
Did the MPP remove a Chief Justice to bring Justice to Kodjo?
Okay. Let me bring Frank into the conversation now. Frank, so if you had a colleague and you were asking questions as to where the constitutional breach is, why the hue and cry from the NPP about alleged maltreatment of the Chief Justice, among others, he has expanded reasons why.
Has he?
I
Look,
told you,
Isaac, has he? Look, this is one of the very outspoken guys. Though we are first timers, but he has distinguished himself on the floor of Parliament, and of course, he's a learned lawyer. I have walked into this studio with the Constitution. I'm sure he has forgotten his own. But you see, the reality is that this is a difficult time to communicate for the MPP.
How so?
My friend has not been able to say any constitutional breaches or violation of the Chief Justice's rights. Has he? He only said, "Oh, to err is human." And so, what happened to that plantain thief, the one who steals somebody's plantain? And the law says that stealing is bad, is a violation of the Constitution. And of course, such a person is prosecuted. And so,
look,
see, the reality is that please, Isaac,
have you also
please, wait,
what is the offense?
Look, let's have a beautiful program. I have several rebetters. Look, her offense. It is not for nothing that these proceedings are being held in camera. At the very right time that Ghanaians will be made aware of all the full facts.
Yeah, she says she reserves the right to waive it. See, Attorney General says no.
Are you aware that there's a principle in law that says you must listen to the other side? The auditorum pattern rule, right? When the president got these petitions, what did he do? He ferried them to the Chief Justice. Has he replied? She gave her responses. Okay? So wherein lies her violation? Okay? Everything is being done systematically. We are working a procedural, of course, a judicial procedural arrangement. Any time where there is any violation of her rights, we expect that she will go, because tomorrow it could be him, it could be me.
Right.
That is the point we must solidify. Look, we live in this country once upon a time where electoral commissioner, a female public servant like the Chief Justice we have now, was hauled before them on flimsy grounds, administrative violation, this and that. They claimed that they were fighting. And at the end of the day, the president discharged his mandate. He ferried the petition to the Chief Justice. None other than the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice went into it and established a prima facie case. And today, where are we? And so I am saying that we are testing the very constitutional provisions as we have now. This is no payback time. This is not payback time. You see, we must not create the impression that we are building a firewall around any public servant. You and I are members of Parliament, duly elected by the people. But this same constitution has made provision for us any time that there is any violation. Anytime we misconduct ourselves, we could be removed from office, can't we? We will walk this same constitutional path that others are walking. And so I'm saying that long before now, we have never had an electoral commissioner removed from office. We did that, we tested the law. Long before now, we have never had Supreme Court justices removed from office. Indeed, who superintended that process? It was the Chief Justice then, Georgina Wood. And so we are testing this constitutional jurisprudence that we have set out for ourselves. And I believe that at the end of the day, Ghana will be the winner. Look, come to think of some of the issues that my good friend has raised. That a committee has invited the Chief Justice, and the Chief Justice elected to bring her entire family, grandmother, grandfather, children, husband. Look, I mean, where is this ever done? That GHOne will interdict you and before then they want to hear you, and they ask you to appear before a committee, and you elect to say that you have to come with the committee with your girlfriend, your wife, your mother, and everybody. No, you see, so that's what I'm saying, that most of the issues that the suspended CJ has raised so far, they are very low in substance. They are extremely low. Since when has the seat of the presidency become such an intimidating environment? I have worked under late President Mills. I have worked in the castle before. I know how civilized, how nice that environment is. And I cannot imagine how a Chief Justice where he sought will have issues just with location as to where a committee will hear her case. I mean, is that not petty? I think that we must double up.
But your colleague talks about the history behind the castle and what it represents, as in what it represented in the past. And so, having such a meeting there brings back all of those things, and it's contextual. And that's why the CJ said she felt intimidated by the location and then the security presence.
We must elevate the discourse. This discourse must be elevated so that we dwell on substantial issues. I think that those are very trivial issues. We have always had history. In fact, the current location of the Jubilee House or the Flagstaff House, have we not had our own history? With the first President Nkrumah, what happened there and everything. So we always have history. But Osu Castle remains a national monument. And at any point in time that we find it expedient to use it for something in the interest of state, we will. I am talking this way not because I'm excited that is happening to her as a person.
Right.
But look, we must test the law.
Okay.
And this whole talk about 5-0. Look, a good number of Ghanaians had issues with the 5-0 ruling of the Supreme Court then.
The unanimous decision.
The unanimous decision.
Right.
I think that, look, for most of them, if you look at the justices who were empaneled, most of them were appointed by the president then. You cannot say same for what we have now. John Mahama has nominated 7 justices of the Supreme Court. They are yet, just yesterday, he knows. It was just yesterday the Speaker of Parliament has referred the nominees to the appointment committee. And so it is the case that the committee is yet to delve deep into their suitability or otherwise. Once they are approved, it's then that they'll go to show up the number, because a good number of them have retired. Some will retire soon. And so if anyone accuses John Mahama of masterminding the 5-0 that the Chief Justice has suffered, then there is no basis for it.
But they said prior to the elections, he mentioned that he was going to, what was the word he used? He was going to balance the bench, and among others. So all of this is playing into that.
Joshua, there's always the need for you to balance the bench. There's always the need for you to balance GHOne. People naturally will die. Others will retire. Are we saying that he will not fill in? As we speak now, he knows. He's a lawyer of good repute. And he knows that a good number of these Supreme Court judges have retired.
Right.
Some will go soon. Are we leaving the vacant unoccupied? We can't do that. And so these are issues that he spoke to on the campaign trail. But there is always the need for us to position ourselves in a manner that will not put the democracy of this nation in peril.
Okay.
And that, for me, is the crux of the issue. Look, for all state institutions, particularly the 3 arms of government, Parliament, which is the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive, they've always had their buffer, but there are always limitations. And so you cannot just run this course as a free ride, thoroughfare, without limitation. And clearly, the Chief Justice so far is not saying she hasn't erred. We need to see the Chief Justice in action, testing the law, the very things that she has been accused of. She's not talking about those ones. She's talking about her phone not being given to her to send before the committee. She's talking about the venue for her hearing. I think that these things are, for me, they are high inform and low in substance.
Okay.
And that is where I really wish that she could elevate the discourse so that we appreciate her stand better. Otherwise, then we are in, for the nation to discharge its constitutional provision where if all processes are walked through and she understands, then a new Chief Justice, will come up and then we'll move on. Just like we have had new electoral commissioner who has dutifully discharged her duty, and then John Mahama has been elected as president of this nation. Yeah.
All right. So Isaac, I'll give you the final bite on this matter.
I think I've made substantially my point and my argument. Okay. I'm not going to speak much, but the little thing I would like to add is that I want to see us build a very strong country, based on principles. Unfortunately, I wasn't in mainstream MPP politics 4 years or 8 years ago, but I'm a full-blooded MPP person, and I've never shied away to speak against anything MPP had done in the past, which in my right thinking I thought was wrong. It is the same principle I hold against this government.
Right.
It is not because it is NDC. If NDC does right, I say them. And I say them any opportunity that I have. Where I'm coming to is that the precedent that we are setting, what he calls low in substance and high in form, is exactly what the president is playing up to the people of Ghana.
That's incorrect.
So that is how I see it.
Okay.
Because the petition, if there is any other petition beyond what I have read, then I'm here to see that high in substance and high in form. But if the petition that the Chief Justice is being confronted with is what I have read from those three petitioners, then even if you say low in substance, I will say lowest in substance in terms of what is required to remove the judiciary. Now, in terms of the composition and into the Supreme Court, we don't call it balancing. We call it filling vacancies in the Supreme Court or the judiciary. Nana Akufo-Addo did not overpopulate the court. He always filled vacancies or potential vacancies.
That's untrue.
So if you come and meet that situation where in your time continuously justices are due for retirement and you have a constitutional mandate to nominate, you will do it anyway, anyhow. Somebody may not be happy as to who you are bringing, but whatever it is, the people are only coming in to fill a vacancy. Now that mindset of balancing is what is scary, because balancing means that I have A whom I don't believe, whom I don't trust, so let me bring on B so that B will come and stand up against A in terms of judgment or decisions. And so if President Mahama, who said, Haruna Idrisu has said earlier, that the Supreme Court of Ghana shouldn't be more than 15. Some NDC people said that even 13, even when you go to US, they are 9. Why do we want to make Ghana Supreme Court more than 13 and 15? And anytime there was an opportunity for government to fill up vacancies in Supreme Court, there had to be reasoned justification from the Attorney General to the General Legal Counsel, also with the support of the Chief Justice, to buttress the fact that for ABC reasons, we still are handicapped in terms of the cases that comes to Ghana Supreme Court, because Ghana, you call all of them Supreme Court, but the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court in Ghana is way more weightier than the Supreme Court in other jurisdictions. The Supreme Court serves as both civil and criminal appeals, and they also have original jurisdictions. So if we are not careful, in Ghana we have expanded our judiciary. So you have courts of appeal scattered all the way through to the north. And so you have a lot of cases that are always coming to the Supreme Court, and justice delayed is justice denied. So when you want to now, like President Mahama did recently, what he is doing if he's filling vacancies, he's filling vacancies, not balancing. And in filling the vacancy, he's now moved our Supreme Court to a potential 21-member composition. So the question that one asked, when he was saying that the Supreme Court is overpopulated, and the NDC thought that up to 15 was enough, what has been the justification today, if not for the balancing mindset, to increase the number to 21? Because at the office of the Supreme Court, if a justice is appointed, the remuneration alone and the accommodation you have to provide, the vehicles, the drivers and all, the entire composition of the benefits of a justice of the Supreme Court, if you are not guided, it's always going to bloat the parts of the judiciary. Because one justice of the Supreme Court is equivalent to about 5 justices in the High Court.
Okay.
And so I have no problem if the president is filling vacancies, as my brother said. But it is not balancing. Because the justices I know that President Mahama has appointed, they are not for balancing purposes. Sir Dennis is not a balancing judge. Akabwafo is not a balancing judge. Senor Jemefedo is sympathetic to him. He is not a balancing judge because I know him. So I will not impugn the integrity of the justices that have been nominated.
Right.
They impugned Ongawu because he has ever served as an MPP parliamentary candidate. Are you telling me that me, Boamah, if I leave MPP or I finish my course and I apply to be a justice of the Supreme Court and they appoint me as justice of the Supreme Court, because I ever served as an MPP member of parliament, I don't have conscience to give right judgment? Is that what we are telling ourselves as a people? That him, as a brother and a good one, a very, very, very intelligent man, if he has the benefit to serve this country as an electoral commissioner, because he has been an NDC parliamentary a member of parliament before, he will never have the conscience to supervise a free and fair elections in this country. Please, let's elevate our life about
I think there's one thing we all agree to, that we need to elevate the discourse.
Yes, but you see, Joshua, most importantly, I think that optics are key. Optically, if I have served as a member of parliament on the ticket of the NDC, as I'm doing now, and he serves on the ticket of the MPP as he does now, I think that if a time to come we are elected, either of us, to go occupy that important office of electoral commissioner, I think optically it doesn't send good signal, and perception sometimes drives reality. And so for me, I think that we must remain very squeaky clean when it comes to the optics, and then substantially too, we must drive it as such. Look, reality is that he's still talking about filling in and balancing. It's a matter of semantics. Look, John Mahama has not really defined what he meant by balancing. Balancing could mean anything at all. In fact, in our jurisprudence, we factor a lot of factors into consideration. And so when someone makes the point that when elected, he will endeavor to balance A or B, I think you need to give him the benefit of the doubt as to what he meant by that. But you see, look, for me, the bottom of all this thing is that we are in a regime where the justices that are presiding over the case of the Chief Justice have not been nominated entirely by the president of the day. These were justices who were serving under President Akufo-Addo. And the record still shows that President Akufo-Addo is the only sitting president in the history of this republic who has nominated the highest number of judges to the Supreme Court. That is a fact.
But he explains that it was because some were retiring, others were nearing retirement, and he had a constitutional mandate.
Joshua, my good friend knows, we are faced with the same reality now. A good number of them are due for retirement. Some have even retired. Should we leave the vacancies? And so the debate about cost and balance, cost and benefit will always, be there. But what is important is the national interest, and I think we must uphold that.
Definitely. Well, so let's talk about Chairman Wontumi. Have you heard anything yet from the legal team? Because the last we heard was that he is being granted bail, as to whether or not he's been able to meet bail conditions.
So I'm not his counsel.
Yes.
And so there are certain facts that are before me that I will not be able to put on air.
Okay.
And so I'll speak to the facts as is available to us in public, and then any other matter that I think I can put on record. So the first issue I will say is that the way and manner the security apparatus have been conducting themselves when it comes to inviting people for interrogation or investigation is becoming one too many. Very, 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 for lack of better word, nasty.
Right.
Okay. So if you have an issue to investigate and you invite the person to come to whether CID, and the person for any reason is delaying, gives you a reason, you are not satisfied, and you want to go and arrest, the way we conduct our arrest under this recent NDC government and the development leaves much to be desired. I had an issue when they barged into Kenuforiate's residence with maxed security people. Why? If you're an authorized security man to go and conduct an exercise, why do you want to cover your face? You are wearing army dress, then you are maxed. Why are we in Burkina Faso, where a military junta who is protecting the president may want to mask up? And this is becoming a regular phenomenon. We go with, when they were going to Kenuforiate's house, they knew Ken was not in, he had traveled, you were only going to whatever, search and do what have you. There are human beings in the house. Even you, when you are living in your house and you see numbers of security people armed with guns entering into your house to come and do something that you are not aware of, how does it sound to you? In time past, they said Honorable Dominic Ayini had the same experience. My brother John Jinapo had a similar experience, and we talked about it, criticized it, came to Parliament, raised issues about it. So as a country, all we know is that we go forward one, we come back twice. So where are we heading towards? So first, that practice, and yesterday, the majority chiefship, Nelson Dafiamepo, having balanced the argument, said this whole drama by the security people should be called out. Because the optics, as my brother said, doesn't look good.
Right.
If you want to arrest someone and you have intelligence as to where the person is located, there are several finesse ways that you can use to conduct an arrest than what we are seeing being done. So on Chairman Wontumi's matter, he was finally brought to the CID. He was interrogated. He was granted bail, asked to reappear on another day. He reappeared, and the next thing you heard, EOCO has come to arrest him.
Right after he left the CID.
Why? We are behaving as if people don't want to subject themselves to due process. The person had come to CID. If you want him to come to EOCO, just give him an invitation. I don't get this thing that's happening in this country.
Right.
And John Mahama is the president. He used to be a fine gentleman.
You mean the president of the land?
Yes, he used to be.
What has changed?
What is supervising? These issues that he's supervising, it's not the John Mahama I know, who is giving authorization for, you see, politics, we are all politicians. I don't separate politicians from the general public, but it is the news of the politician that runs. So if we do this, and so, because if we are going to arrest non-politicians, you don't get this drama. Non-politicians, you are charging Wontumi for mining offenses and the rest.
Yes.
Do you know the number of Galamsey kingpins in this country who ought to also be arrested, but we are not interested. We are interested in the optics. We are interested in following and doing partisan political agenda. And so, if even you have a case against Wontumi, invite him, let him come, interrogate him. If he has been paid money that you have challenges with, follow due process. But this scene, he slept CID, you've arrested him, and you know that the person is a force. Whether you like it or not, he's the Ashanti regional chairman of the biggest opposition party. He has people. So when you do that and people go to EOCO and they are chanting and they want to burn down or what have you, who is bringing this to us? It's ourselves. Because if you want to interrogate him, all you do is invite him. He comes in the morning. You engage him up to whatever time. If you want to grant him bail, you grant him bail. If you want to take him to court, go to court. Let the court hold his passport if you think he's going to leave the jurisdiction. And that is the finesse you want to see us run this country.
Right.
But when we are charting that path, and it's not nice. It's an affront to our development as a people.
Okay.
Where we are growing in terms of democratic age, but we are not growing in terms of building the institutions.
Okay.
So it's like, I have the power. This Adenta Kumi.
Yes.
What has Kodjo or Sammy George said in this country? The man has submitted a petition to the president, formal petition. And then the next time you are in his house going to arrest him for misinformation. Misinformation. In this country, every day the misinformation that we hear, they've not seen it. Once somebody who has written a petition, whether the petition has substance or not, others brought petition against the chief justice, isn't it? Were they arrested? Then you go and arrest Adenta Kumi to make political capital. His wife, whether it is true or not, are saying that she has miscarried. And if we want to kill people because their husband need stories.
We are told that's not the case.
No, that's what I have not heard. That's not the case.
That's what I
have. You established it as a fact?
We've heard that that's not the case.
You too, you heard. Yeah. Like I heard that she had miscarriage. Let me move away from the miscarriage.
Right.
So back to Chairman Wontumi.
Yes, and land on that form. We need to go for a quick break. We'll come back and have a conversation.
Okay, so on the Chairman Wontumi saga, I think he's been granted bail.
Yes.
They said he has not met the condition or whatever it is. The bail is available. If he thinks it is on the high, he can appeal against it and get it reviewed or revised, and then let's allow due process to run its course. But my advice is that if we want to fight something, let's do it holistic.
Okay.
Let's make sure that everybody who may be involved is brought in. But when it is your time, you file noli prosequi against your people who were under judicial trial for various offenses against the state. 3 days or 2 days after being appointed Attorney General, your major concern was about people who were politically inclined, who ought to be taken out of trial. So you filed noli prosequi against them, and then you free them. And one of them filed the application 9 a.m. By 5 p.m., he was given appointment as governor of Central Bank of Ghana. So let them continue. Go for your break. We are here.
All right. So Isaac Jackson there. Also here with Frank Effia. We'll go for a quick break, but when we do return, we'll also be getting the perspectives of Frank Effia and Chairman Wontumi and matters arising. Really, is the government seeking to persecute its opponents? Is that really the case? We'll get more from him right after this break. Stay with us. on GH today. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah. I'm here with the Member of Parliament for Effia and Isaac Boamah Nyarko, as well as the Member of Parliament for Afadjato South, Frank Effia. And before we went for the break, Isaac had his bite on the issues regarding Chairman Wontumi, his arrest, EOCO now granting him bail and methods arising. They are not pleased with the way and manner these arrests are made. But Frank, really, what is the rationale behind all of this? Because your opponents in the NPP feel that you're trying to show force, which is unnecessary, and creating just unnecessary panic in the country.
Yes, so Joshua, I think that I am on the same page with my colleague.
Okay.
That sometimes we overly dramatize this kind of arrest and invitation when it relates to political figures. And then the drama, the theatrics, they are needless. But you see, in my mind's eye, we've got to a stage where we should be careful not to craft for ourselves a set of rules that are applicable to the ruling class, and then a different set of rules that must apply to the ordinary citizen. Because on day in, day out, normal citizens receive invitation and arrest once they fail to comply with the rules of engagement. But where it becomes topical is where political figures are involved.
Yeah.
And so, from what we have gleaned from the vineyard, the CID has invited the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NPP, Chairman Wontumi as he's popularly called, over matters that relates to a petition that was brought by law-abiding citizens, i.e. Senyo Hosi, Martin, Pebu, and a group of others, which petition has been lying there, I think, before the onset of the Mahama administration. And so these are all democratic processes that we have codified for ourselves. And then for me, what the crux of the matter is now is the approach of the invitation and subsequent arrest by EOCO. That is an area we must watch and look at. It looks as though a certain class of people, the hawks among all the political parties, they use this particular tool in the toolbox. Once power flips, the hawks on the other side will also like to show them where power lies.
Right.
And the showmanship appears to be within a certain narrow, highly insignificant class within these two political parties. If you recall, the lies of, as he rightly said, John Dinapo, the Gestapo formula with which state security apparatus invaded his home early morning just because he was a sitting member of parliament. They did not want to give him the chance to say he was on his way to parliament or on his way from parliament, so that the immunity we enjoy as members of parliament will not be applicable. Early morning. And you can imagine the psychological trauma. When it was bad then, we condemn it. And so any approach that is bad now, we must condemn. But where I disagree vehemently with my brother is where he linked all this ultimately to John Mahama. Could we say then that Akufo-Addo was the one who sent the security after the lives of Ayene, Dr. Ayene, John Dinapo, and the rest? No. And so these are the things that we do, and we muddy the narrative, we twist the narrative. We must recouch it in a manner that says that yes, public officers are not above the law, but then the processes, the procedures that we deploy in inviting or arresting them should be decent well enough. Yes, and this narrative, we, the ruling class, the political class, we must couch it.
Right.
And must live it, so that I don't see my brother, being subjected to that simply because his party is in opposition. I know he will not be happy if I'm being subjected to that kind of maltreatment tomorrow. And I think that for me is what should engage our attention, first off, as members of parliament and then the ruling class. But what are we saying over here? After the invitation by CID, Wontumi himself engaged the media. We were not privy to what the CID, engaged or discussed with him. But he engaged the media and told us that, look, it had to do with dealings of a company that he was allegedly associated with, Akunta Mining, and the fact that he was engaged in illegal mining. And he had to show documentation to disprove that. Okay, but for the interview he granted, you and I wouldn't even know what transpired at CID. You saw the lively atmosphere with which he worked in the company of his counsel, Dr. Dami, out of CID. Then we are told on another issue that EOCO picked him. EOCO picked him for interrogation. The style is what, of course, we are all condemning, that the manner in which it's being described, since it was bad yesterday, then it couldn't be right today. But nobody can say that John Mahama was the one who sent these officers. Because ever since Mahama came, he hasn't even employed anybody at EOCO, apart from the head whose tenure ceases with the appointing authority. And so the previous EOCO boss has gone with former President Akufo-Addo. The new EOCO boss, Raymond Nacha. Indeed, have you listened to the admonition or the praises of the counsel to Wontumi, the Leonard, what's the name, and the Afadjato? Yes. He said Raymond has conducted himself excellently, professionally, and fairly. Wontumi wouldn't have even slept at EOCO because he was granted bail, except that he couldn't fulfill the bail condition. You see, on occasions like this, you are tempted to recall certain unfortunate development that happened in the past. Because of sometimes what our friends on the other side of the aisle say. That Wontumi is an Ashanti regional chairman, he wields a lot of influence and that he commands following. Were we not in this country when the whole national chairman of the NDC, Ofo, maybe council has forgotten, the manner in which he was treated? What were the allegations? They said, look, there were market fires, and that there was a so-called tape. And when children were adopted, the suspicion was that he was behind it. Flimsy, trump-up charges just to engage his attention to this or to make it unable for him to function as national chairman. We took it in our stride. You remember record 2028 or 2018 instead. He was then the deputy general secretary of the NDC. What did he say? Mere words that will make governance difficult to President Akufo-Addo. He was picked. He slept at BNI, now NIB, I think for 2 consecutive days. It took President Mahama, then former president, his personal intervention, visit, to solidarize with him, to intervene, as the former vice president is now seeking to do. That the processes should be clean, they should be fair. Yes, as a nation, we've realized that we are spending too much precious time on matters like this. When we should be fixated on how to make bread and butter issues better for our people. Cost of living must be reduced, as President Mahama is systematically doing. The city is appreciating. The dollar is on a free fall. And of course, it's reflecting. Pretty soon, by the time we roll out our Feed Ghana 24-hour economy and the rest, I believe my brother Isaac and his party will be in a position for more than 24 years. Under the 24-hour economy, they'll be in opposition for more than 24 years. But I think he will survive because we are friends. But on a more important note, I think that our law enforcement agencies, our security operatives, they must also be quite level-headed. They must not play to the gallery, excuse my words, for lack of a better word. Yes, because today you are on this side thinking that you are doing the hatchet job of whoever hasn't even sent you. Tomorrow, when the table flip, you could find yourself in hot waters. And so we expect nothing short of professionalism. We expect nothing short of constitutional, application of their mandate,
right?
So that the civil liberties and integrity, of ordinary citizens will be upheld. I think that for us, that is what we expect of them. Whether it really doesn't matter ideologically where you belong, once you find yourself within that treasure space, you must discharge your obligation. Averagely decent.
Okay.
That's what we expect of them.
Right.
And I believe that the Wontumi case, we should see finality to it so that it doesn't define the moment where government is making a lot of gains, which will attract our discussion, the airways. There is all about Wontumi.
Right.
But I believe that he's entitled to his civil liberties, which must be preserved at all time material.
Right. And I like the fact that both of you are first-time MPs. Now, Speaker, after recess, says that the immunity you enjoy as MPs should not lead to impunity. And that was quite strong coming from Speaker in the wake of things we've heard in terms of MPs and engagements and all these issues being called one way or the other into inquiry by state security agencies, among others. Let me come to you, Isaac.
Well, I was in the chamber, I heard the speaker make those pronouncements, but I found it difficult to appreciate what he was putting across.
Okay.
Because I'm not privy to what he, as speaker, is privy to. And I don't know which MPs are being invited and their approach or responses to them. But the fundamental issue is that members of parliament are entitled to some immunities. Not immunity from crime committed, but immunities that facilitate your functionality as a member of parliament, because we are in parliament as a people's representative. And at every point in time, it is important that your role as a member of parliament shouldn't be curtailed by security agencies or any individual to undermine your ability to function as a member of parliament. So that immunity is very clearly stated in our standing orders. What you need to do to protect that immunity is also clearly provided in our standing orders. The speaker, who is the head of our parliament, is also given that mandate to protect the immunities of members of parliament. Now, I know that any member of parliament who has been invited by the state authorities or agencies to appear before them for investigation or interrogation, they've made themselves available to the extent of the information that I know. So maybe Speaker was giving us a general advice in terms of how we should conduct ourselves, but at times, if we are not careful, it also sends a signal to the public to suggest as if we have members of parliament who are there doing things that are untoward, or they are flouting state regulations, and so he's out there to speak to us to comply, and then I will not shield anybody who can. You are not supposed to shield any crime. I don't think that is the role of the speaker. The speaker is supposed to protect only to the extent that the person's right as a member of parliament is not impeached. And so I take his caution. I always say, as members of parliament, we are role models. Okay, so our conduct within and without should be of high level, such that we don't even break the law. I had my own way of handling matters, but since I became member of parliament, I've tried as much as possible to even be much more mindful, so that nobody would have an issue with me that will warrant the issue of bringing it to public space or bringing an issue against me to the Speaker of Parliament. So I will admonish my colleagues, members of Parliament, let's keep to our role model status. Let's give a different narrative to the Ghanaian populace that we are here to serve. We are here to make the law and respect the law. So anybody who has an invitation should go. This issue of I'm coming out of parliament and I'm going to parliament.
So
whether you come from parliament or you go to parliament, if there's an invitation on your head, you will appear.
Yeah.
So make yourself available and appear. And go and make your case. If they want to prosecute, make yourself available for prosecution. And our colleagues on the other side should also know, and as I say, once we chart that course, in future, we should all abide by the same rules.
Okay.
You see, you don't set a rule today, and tomorrow it becomes another issue. So let's take it from
all right, Frank.
Yeah, so I think that, truth be told, that you don't need a magic wand to unpack what the speaker really thought or sought to put across. That all the immunity respected members of parliament enjoy shouldn't be turned into impunity. I think it's just another way of saying that we are all equal before the law.
Right.
The principle of equality before the law. Again, he wished to elevate the discourse to remind us that as members of parliament who represent our constituents, we are supposed to be exemplary in action and words. We are supposed to show leadership by example. These are the very ingredients that the speaker wishes to put across on the very first day where parliament has resumed, marking the first sitting of the second meeting of the ninth parliament. Exactly. And so I believe it's just a mere admonition couched in a different language like Jesus ordinarily would speak to his disciples. And it also sought to reinforce one thing, that my respected colleague and all other members, even within the ecosystem of parliament, we must be extremely refined in our choice of words and action towards ourselves. And I'm glad that, for a good number of us, that relationship, political lines did not redefine it in any way, and it will never redefine it going into the future. And so Speaker equally sought to put it across that he, as the head of parliament, will at all time material protect according to the provisions of this constitution and the House's rules book, which is the standing orders that he's spoken about. Any MP from arbitrary and capricious, politically motivated arrest. I think that part of what he tried to put across is that the fact that Isaac belonged to the other side, no one should come with tram-up charges and expect that he, Speaker Babi, will not go the extra mile, invoking all his civil liberties under the Constitution and the standing orders, and that he will not just let him go loose like that to be arrested anyhow. Likewise, none of us must be engaged in any misconduct or criminal activities expecting that this same immunity will just naturally be applicable.
Right.
And so in the final analysis, we are supposed, and indeed so, in conduct and action, supposed to be above board, to be as honorable as the title we enjoy implies. And so there must not be that Chinese war between the title we enjoy and our action.
Right.
That is simply an admonition. And I think that is coming on the back of certain commentaries that were made on the floor, which Speaker thought is prudent that we get to the finality of it.
Right.
On the one hand, it has to do with an honorable member's father that belonged to the side of the NDC. Then on the other hand, it also had to do with a political heavyweight that belonged to the other side. And so these are matters that are even on the floor, the chamber, the hollow chamber itself. And so part of what Speaker sought to put across is that from within among ourselves too, we must be averagely refined in our dealings, in our talks, and in action.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, so we have a few more minutes to wrap up the show, but I would like to quickly chip in this one, because if I don't, Isaac will have a problem with me. Today is the 29th of May, and so our office in Washington, D.C., the Ghanaian embassy, is supposed to reopen after days of temporal closure and all the matters arise. I remember speaking to the deputy ranking on the Foreign Affairs Committee on Monday on my show, State of Affairs, and he says that the call to actually shut down the embassy because of the detected fraud was so wrong and sends the wrong message. Today we are reopening. Isaac.
Yeah, so I think it's good that the minister is eating a humble pie by causing the embassy to reopen. Because
but has he? Because
his initial statement,
yes,
his initial statement suggested that they were going to conduct the investigations and complete before the office will be opened.
Right.
And then there was a reasonable backlash not from NPP alone, but to the extent that the embassy doesn't serve only visa services. The embassy serves economic purposes, it serves student purposes, it serves security purposes. And so if you detect an IT fraud, so-called IT fraud, and based on that information, you shut down a whole diplomatic mission. Where did we get that from? In Ghana here, do you know the number of embassies that are having issues with their staff? Do you know the embassies that diplomats from other countries are having issues with their missions outside, for which people are recalled every day? Every now and then people are recalled. But fast forward, the issue is having gotten to that stage prior to investigation, why did he recall all the people from Washington? 15 staff were recalled. One person is being investigated. You suspect corroborators. Why would you recall all the staff to come back to Ghana when investigations have not been conducted? Are you saying that all of them are complicit? Or it's just an attempt to clean up the mission and bring your own people? And this is the agenda I always say. Dangerous agenda. As we speak now, they said the team is being sent.
Yes, Mama Yaga told us yesterday.
Yes, the leader of the mission, who has occupied the position of an ambassador before Gasu, is now being brought down to the position of an equivalent of a minister under the diplomatic circles to go and head that exercise. And the composition of the team is very scary and alarming. Is that also a balancing act? I don't know. Let me tell you, let me give you the composition of the team.
Right, and why you feel that is alarming?
You know, I don't normally do regional and ethnic politics. But see, when you have a minister of foreign affairs who is asking a new team to go to U.S. Washington embassy, and the composition, as I said, Ambassador Jinga Swaheto, Mrs. Benisifwa Hudebeke, Mrs. Hilary Day, Barbara Ado, Kwesi Asante, Samuel Boati, Juliana Akolache, Christian Na, and Abu Osman, amongst others. Then you are asking, and these people that I've mentioned that he is sending to Washington, some of them, from my information, are not even due for posting to that level. But the minister is now using his powers to now handpick and get people that he feels comfortable and convenient to go and set his own agenda for him in Washington. Please, it is one country we are building, and it is important for the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, to be very mindful that he's not serving his personal interest.
Right.
The interest is to the Republic of Ghana, and so he should make sure that even when he's doing these things, it's not that he thought when he was the foreign affairs minister, he thought he had people that would serve him with information, and then he comes out there and threw it out there. Now he's in the position, and we are watching him. We are watching his steps, and we are going to expose anything that he does for parochial interest. Okay. At the next feast, we will give you the details as to these people.
Right. Right. Frank, let me give the final bite on this.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, I think that there's much ado about nothing as far as this issue is concerned. My good friend sought to create the impression that a fact-finding team that has been dispatched to the states,
Washington, D.C. Yes.
Washington, D.C., if you look at the names as we have them on paper, then it's set to suggest some kind of ethnic or tribal bias.
Yes.
I think that those are the very discussions that may mar the beauty of our unity in diversity. Joshua, look, the Chief Justice is called Tokono. Is she a Voltarian?
No.
Yes, but she bears the name that is typically an Ewe name. And so sometimes it's pretty difficult to judge people as to where they belong or come from just by their name. I bear the name Effia. My daddy is a typical Ashanti. But my mom is an Ewe, and I grew up with my mom. And so I'm thankful to the good people of Afadjato South. Does that mean that I do not have any leaning with Ashanti region? I do. And so the discourse, of course, we must gravitate from maybe the ethnic or the tribal argument. I like the bits he raised about checkmating activities of the minister. Of course, that is the responsibility of the opposition. And I expect that in 24 years' time, he will likely be the foreign minister. You understand? So if he doesn't start his job now, when at all is he going to do it?
In 24 years.
In 24 years, under the 24-hour economy.
We've heard it before.
But you see, look, what are we talking about?
Right.
There's been a development. A scandal has been occasioned or has been unraveled. My good friend is not saying that something like that hasn't happened. Ordinarily, what you need to do is to halt all other processes, albeit for a very short, brief moment, to discontinue the elaborate scheme, whilst you fish out the perpetrators and quickly you reset the processes in motion. Right. I think that's what the minister sought to do. You can have issues with how long that has taken, given the fact that there should be consular services to students and other Ghanaian, citizens in the community out there. Of course, that will also mean that at the end of the day, we may be losing some revenue.
Yes.
But then when you lose some just amount of revenues in order to ensure that we restore the leaking basket, I think that is a good move.
Okay.
In the first place, why should someone develop an authorized link and be diverting the resources of state into private account? That should engage our mind. I wouldn't say that such a person was working under the Akufo-Addo administration, was sent there, and so we should link it to Akufo-Addo. Akufo-Addo hasn't sent him to go and do that criminal activity. You see, that is the decency of the debate some of us really want to embark on. And so people like that must be fished out, punished according to our rules. Okay? Then those who will be law-abiding, who will be prepared to play according to rules of engagement, we send them there without any leaning to tribe or ethnicity. Every Ghanaian who, is able to prove that he is up to the task should be engaged. And that is what I believe in. And I believe strongly that that's what President Mahama is going to do. The minister respected Okujeto Ablakwa. I don't think that he does some of these things just solely on his own. There are systems and individuals that he must also consult. It's a systemic and a human institution. Whilst attempting to right the wrongs, sometimes there will be some gaps.
Okay.
Ours is to help fish out those gaps so that we can fill in those gaps as perfect as we want the result to be. So it's still an early days yet. It's a developing story. I believe that what must engage our attention is for us to fish out the perpetrators and then who are denying us the resources that we need to build the infrastructure that he needs in his constituency. I need in my constituency. poverty is still an issue. The prayer that we say in Parliament every day, part of it says that in the land of plenty, our people are in poverty. That, for me, should engage our attention at all times. We must go the extra mile to see how we scale down the cost of living and scale up the standard of living.
Right. Okay, so we're wrapping up, but I just want to find out briefly, because you're back in Parliament, what should constituents expect from you in this session of Parliament?
Yeah, so I always say that two major things engage my attention on the floor of the House. Being active participants in the passing of legislation, which is our core mandate as members of Parliament, so that the interests of my constituents will be protected in the legislation that will be done. And that is also supported with the function that I'll do at the committee level to make sure that I bring my expertise to bear at the committee level to fashion out. Because we've lived out of Parliament before where laws are passed and the next day people have issues with the laws and people think that Parliament doesn't scrutinize enough. But if you look at this ninth Parliament, so far the gold board bill that was passed into law and the few works that we've done, it tells you we are committed to detailed work to improve on our legislative process.
Right.
The second aspect is to make sure that the concerns of my constituents are brought to bear on the floor of the House, matters that ought to be raised. So we've discussed issues about road, about lightening, about other things. So I'll continue to project those matters as long as it requires national attention. And then find the resources to go back home through my brother's benevolence to go and contribute.
Okay, Frank.
When are you getting your appointment?
So
what should constituents be looking forward to?
I think that just like Isaac,
there are still four left.
I think just like Isaac has said, of course, in a 275 man chamber as we have it now, one is left with Ablekuma North. Within a space of 4 months, if you come to ask of Isaac Boamah, I think it's a name that everybody has heard of. Likewise, I'm doing my bit. What we seek to do is in our legislative and oversight responsibilities, as well as what we do behind the scene at the committee level, we must ensure that our respective constituents and constituencies are well represented. And that is, the foremost task I have for the good people of Afadjato South. We have already got a name. Of course, housing and accommodating the highest mountain in Ghana is already a name. But we want to go the extra mile, and then that is my target. So far, so good. I think I am on course, and then we pray that the Supreme Lord will grant us good strength and wisdom to go the extra mile. And of course, back in our respective constituencies, I have also begun certain interventions, particularly prioritizing certain areas, water projects, school, health. Then, of course, employment. Job, and livelihood. That is what, is at the heart of all that we do, to liberate our people out of poverty.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming.
Pleasure.
And I really wish you well in Parliament. We'd like to see more of you on the House and also in the constituencies. Grateful. So, Frank Effia, Member of Parliament for Afadjato South, and then Isaac Boamah Nyarko, Member of Parliament for Effia, joining me for the Breakfast Review segment. This is still GH Today here on GHOne Television with me, Joshua Kodjo Mensah. We've got more for you after this break. Stay with us. GHOne Television. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah. So earlier was the breakfast review segment where we talked about region issues. It's time to zoom into another conversation, one that you need to sit down properly for, because I have got some exciting news for you. The AGI is organizing the Entrepreneurial Knowledge Forum, and to help us digest this and get to know exactly what all of this is about, I have Philomena Asante, executive member of AGI Accra, that's Association of Ghana Industries, and then Terry Mante, senior consultant, Suku Technologies. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you very much.
I hope you're doing well.
Yes.
We are and you're excited about the Knowledge Forum already?
Very excited.
So let me come to you, Philomena. What really is it about, the Entrepreneurial Knowledge Forum?
Okay, so I'll speak briefly about Association of Ghana Industries.
Right.
We are an organization, non-profit, made up of manufacturers and business owners, indigenous business owners. And every year we have programs that we do for the benefits of our business leaders. And this year we are doing the Entrepreneurial Forum, and we are looking at the trends in the business environment and looking at this time of our world. Innovation and technology is reigning. So this time we are going to talk about digital tools and for us to be smarter as business owners.
Right.
So that's basically what the Entrepreneurial Knowledge Forum is about. Yes.
Right. So let me come to you, Terry. I mean, how big is technology when it comes to revolution in businesses? And you're already laughing at that.
Because the question is a bit fun. How big?
Yeah.
The bigness or it's you can't even quantify that, because technology is surpassing and overhauling everything we do. You know, so for instance, this program now, I can tell you that more people most of the people who are watching this program are not watching it via a TV set because of technology.
Right.
You know, so it's become the bread and butter of our lives. It's become our reality, the reality of the present. Sometimes we hear people say that the future is technology. The future is technology. My brother, technology is the present. It is not the future.
It's now.
It's now. It has become our oxygen, our food, our blood. Because without technology, you are automatically taking yourself out of the system. Because everything we do now is driven by technology. Some time ago, if you wanted to give somebody a direction to a place, like you wanted someone to come here, you ask the person, do you know a range runabout? Do you know this place? Do you know electoral commission?
You see a woman selling something there. So the day you go and the woman is not there. You've missed your way.
Now you just send a look, the Google GPS, and the person can find you.
Right.
Or the person can just search online and find the direction to the place. So if you are a business, for instance, and you are not on Google Maps or you are not somewhere, then it's a challenge for you. So we are saying that technology is influencing everything we do. It's affecting how we do deliveries. It's affecting how we move around. Now you can sit somewhere and you can get a vehicle to come and pick you up to where you are going.
Yeah. That's technology.
So it's everything has become technology. You know, so you can actually have a business without having a physical office. Your social media page becomes your office. So you run a virtual business. Once you have a phone, you have internet, and you have your product, and you can work on the logistics and the delivery. You are good to go. So now you don't need to go and rent a space somewhere to set up a business. That is what technology is doing to us. And so we are urging members of the AGI and other people in business to take this thing seriously. And it is not just about having the technology and all that. It starts by having a mindset shift. So people should say that this is a reality. I need to embrace technology. You must work on your mind around it. There are people who say they are BBC, born before computer. But you can't use that as an excuse for anything. If you want your business to prevail and you want to succeed in business, you have to really have and be open-minded about technology. And that is what we are doing with this particular Knowledge Forum. Yes.
Okay. So talk to me about when the Knowledge Forum is happening and where, because I'm very excited. I don't have a business yet, but I'm looking at the prospects of how technology can shoot up businesses. And then I'm sure there are others who are watching and being like, okay, cool, I want to be a part of this. So when is it happening and where?
So it's happening next week, Tuesday, which is 3rd of June at the Coconut Group Hotel. And the time is 9 a.m. We don't have to pay anything to come. It's sponsored by Suku Technology. They are also our resource who are going to give us the digital tools to learn about how we can do our finances, our operations, our processes, and delivery, marketing, branding tools that we can employ in our businesses. So it's free. Come join us. By 1 p.m. we are done. You can also go and continue your business. And I must say, it's not just for people who own businesses.
Because I wanted to ask, who qualifies to be a part of this conversation?
So we are looking at leaders in business. You can be what do you call it, entrepreneur. You can be a business owner. You can be leading someone else's business. You are in a management position, or you are leading a show, you are leading a department. You are welcome to come to the program. And as I must add, last year we did something on after. And we businesses, we want to go beyond Ghana, we want to go beyond Africa, we want to go to the world. But without these digital tools, you are even in Ghana, you can't go beyond your shop or your business or your factory. So please come and join this forum and learn about the digital tools. Beyond these digital tools, AGR also sample issues that businesses are facing. So if you have any issue also that you want to discuss as businesses, that's the forum that we discuss these issues.
Interesting. Okay, so let me come to you, Terry. I mean, why should businesses take advantage of this particular conversation, very important conversation we're having on Tuesday?
They have to take advantage of it because it's part of their business growth, business development aspect, and there are going to be other businesses there. So even apart from the core aspect of the program, they get to network with other people and have conversations and all of that. But I think that every business, no matter how small, no matter how big, should never exclude itself from any conversation around technology. And we, so at Suku Technologies, we are very determined to demystify this whole concept of technology, because sometimes when we mention technology, people think you have to be a big multinational. When we talk about digital transformation, people are thinking of you must be a business with a headquarters in New York or London or Joburg. But you can be a small business somewhere. You can, and you will still have to learn how to use technology. Many people use WhatsApp. Many people use Momo and all of that. But a lot of them don't even think that those tools they use for their regular personal interaction can become a core part of the businesses they run. And so it's important that they come on board and then we have this together. And one thing I want to say is that this Knowledge Forum is not a seminar, it's not a conference, it's a workshop.
Oh, okay.
It's a workshop. So we are going there to work. A workshop, as I normally say, is a shop where you work. So we come and we're going to make it very practical, very hands-on.
So it's not one of those conferences where people just come and stand there at the podium and then talk, and then just walk away.
We don't do that. Of course, they'll be talking, but the talking is practical, and we are going to really demonstrate some of the tools that people can use to, like cloud solutions. For instance, when I say cloud solutions, it sounds so big. But we all use cloud solutions already. Just that sometimes when we call it like that, cloud solution, an email, for instance, is a cloud solution. You know, the WhatsApp that you do, which you're able to back up, so that when you change your phone, you can get all your message. It's a cloud. There is a cloud solution behind it at the back end that enables all of those things to happen. So we're going to demystify some of these things and how people can use them to enhance their business and to drive their businesses forward.
Okay. Well, let me take a final word. Let me start with you, and then I come to Terry and we sum up the conversation this morning.
So I still want to encourage people to attend. If you don't mind, I can leave a contact number.
That's right.
So you can send your hi on WhatsApp. I'll give you the details for registration. 054-7193895, and then
take it slowly so that I put on message.
Okay, so I'll repeat it: 054-7193895.
Okay.
You can contact this WhatsApp number and you can register and join on Tuesday. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, Terry.
Yes. So all I will say is that they should join us. Everybody watching us now, they should join us, and they should come fully prepared to learn how to compete better and to do business better.
So it's the AGI Entrepreneurial Knowledge Forum happening on Tuesday at Coconut Grove, and the time is 9:30. So let's be there on time and then get to learn more. Like Terry said, you don't know what you're missing out if technology is not an integral part of the business that you are running. So in studio, I've had Philomena Sante, executive member of AGI Accra, and then Terry Mante, senior consultant at Suku Technologies, and they're the consultants on this particular project, going to demystify technology for businesses and help businesses scale up using technology. Gentlemen and lady, thank you so much for coming again.
Thank you.
And see you on Tuesday.
Thank you.
All right. So that's the conversation on the Knowledge Forum. We've got 2 more for you right here on the show. So stay with us. Part of all of this is that a father just asked me when is Father's Day. It tells you clearly that, you see, fathers are concentrating on the troubles, the big issues, solving the problems. They don't even know which day is our day. And it's a sad one. And that's why it's important that we have this conversation, because we are ending May and moving into the month of June. Mother's Day, we saw so much noise. But with Father's Day, then they'll bring us boxer shorts, add handkerchief, and then socks. and then a flying tie and say Happy Father's Day to you. But this time around, EIB Network, GHOne Television, we're bringing you a very special way for you to celebrate fathers. And you see, you will never be where you are without a father figure. And that's why the man, Cecil Sovereign, has joined me, marketing manager. Yeah, big man. My boss has joined me to help us have a conversation on this beautiful way we are seeking to celebrate fathers. So welcome.
Thank you, bro.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm well. Good to see you again.
We are back. We are back for God and country.
Sure.
But I mean, this Father's Day, like I said yesterday to you, on Mother's Day, we had a very special way to celebrate mothers on GHOne Television. Sure. Beautiful, beautiful. Congratulations to you and the team, by the way.
Thank you.
And then on Father's Day, you're taking it a notch higher. Talk to me. What are we doing for fathers?
Exactly. So, we have all been saying the boxers and the handkerchiefs, it's okay.
We reject them by fire, by thunder.
It's okay. I was just telling Terry backstage that you should be part of this with the daddy. I mean, just have an intimate moment with the daddy.
Right.
So what we are doing is that from the 13th through to the 15th. So 15th of June is Father's Day.
So okay, but the date is 15th June.
So we just want you to have a very intimate moment with daddy. I mean, just be on this journey with us. We are going all the way to Sogakope, the Holy Trinity Spa and Health Farm. So we leave on Friday evening, Saturday through to Sunday. Sunday afternoon, we log out and we all come back. So, single fathers in marriages, any father figure in your life, you can just buy a ticket for him to join us. We are going to Sogakope, like I've said, and it comes with a lot of packages.
And when you mentioned the packages at first, I felt that, I mean, this is too good to be true. But what we're doing is that, so like you said, it's on Friday, from Friday to Sunday.
Exactly.
So you see, there is something therapeutic about living Accra. Once you get out of the borders of Accra, it's like a breath of fresh air hits you, and that's what fathers need. Because now, after paying school fees and worrying about all the things that have to do with the home, it's time to just let go and then refresh. And that is what this trip is for.
Sure.
So talk to me about what the activities that have been lined up from Friday all the way to Sunday. And then you tell them the amazing price at which all of this is going for.
Exactly. So 2 days, 2 nights. Okay, so 2 nights accommodation in a standard room with breakfasts. You also have lunch and dinner throughout the stay. There's going to be a barbecue night with drinks. You're going to have spa treatment for each of the participants coming. That is the icing on the cake. Like we have said, stress in Accra, stress over the years. And Holy Trinity, one of their hallmark is the spa treatment.
Which men don't do, by the way.
Exactly.
So men are paying for women to get spa dates, spa treats and all of that, do the manicure, pedicure, get the massages, and then we will come back with the backs hurting so badly. So this is an all-inclusive package.
Yes.
And you say that we are having games as well.
Sure.
We're having barbecue, we are drinking, and then there's a special talk in there.
Yes, there's also horse riding or boat cruise. For that one, you have to choose any of the two. Then there's also complimentary cinema access. So they have this fantastic cinema.
Right.
You want to find a nice movie that encourages fathers to do more. Then we can all have a very intimate session to watch it. Then, like you mentioned, for me, the biggest of all of this is the all men frank discussions.
No holds barred.
We don't want any woman there. Yes, men are going through a lot, and sometimes, like I said to you on radio yesterday, it's very difficult to even talk to your wives about some of the issues you are going through.
True.
But when men we meet, like we say, boys, and when you see the women doing their girls things, you'll be amazed.
Yeah.
They tell each other things that they are not even able to tell men they are lying on the base with. We also want to have that kind of intimate session with each other.
And we don't have enough of
Feel
those.
free.
We don't have enough of those.
Exactly. Exactly. We are trying to see if we will get a psychologist, not in there, but through Zoom to join us, because it's a woman, and we don't want any woman in there at all. Just to talk to us about 1 or 2, then we'll ask her to go, then we open it up for ourselves to have a very frank discussion with each other. The road trip, I mean, is also covered, transportation is covered, and like we have said, all these comes at a very subsidized price. Holy Trinity, if you call them and say you are coming for a weekend, I'm not sure you pay anything half the price of what you are going to tell you. So we have 2 occupancy. If you are the type who want to be in a room alone, you have your bed, you have your everything in there. Single occupancy is going for 3,950. 50 cedis short of 4,000. So you can
for the entire weekend.
For the entire weekend.
And this is someone's lunch in Accra.
For the entire weekend.
Wow.
So just join us Friday evening. We have a very cozy air-conditioned bus to drive us all the way to Sogakope. Once you get there, there is a complimentary drink for you. Then we'll crown the day with our dinner, very nice dinner. Then we retire to bed. Then on Saturday, the activities begin. The spa treatment, the barbecue night in the evening, the cinema session, the all-men frank discussion. Then for double occupancy, so if you don't mind like me, say, I want to save something small on the money I'm paying. 2 people in a room, single beds, not the 2 of you lying on the same bed. We don't want any. So you have your bed separately from each other. You pay 3,600 cedis.
So just like hostel.
Exactly.
Just 2 people in the room.
Exactly.
But the good thing is that the room is so cozy that you don't even feel the other person's presence.
Exactly.
Right. And that goes for 3,600.
So for the double occupancy is 7,200. So if you do the math, it's 3,600. So you get to save almost 400 Ghana cedis for yourself.
And there are limited slots available because calls have started coming in.
Sure.
And so if you want to make sure that you're giving your daddy, your father, or that special father figure in your life this wonderful treat, you need to make the calls now so that Cecil can reserve a spot for you. Else, by the time you call, you won't get an opportunity to be a part of this. And this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So Cecil, what number can we call?
054 8618
Okay, 054. Right, and it's on your screens right now, so you can just take a shot of it. You keep the number and make sure that right after the show you're placing the call to Cecil to pick up and then get a slot reserved. Now the beauty about Holy Trinity is it's a place where nature comes in connection with humanity, and so there's no better way to distress. And you see, if you're having challenges with your dad, you're having problems with your father, book him this trip. If your husband and you are fighting with your husband, let him go on this trip. When he comes back, you see automatically things will fall into place
change
because the mind will be refreshed, the body will be refreshed, and it's all for less than 4,000 Ghana cedis. This one they say
if we are so lucky, we'll have Dr. Anya himself, the owner of Holy Trinity, to even engage with the fathers for a short period.
Wow.
I mean, a medical doctor, someone who is into the wellness space. I mean, you can imagine. Yes. And like you have said, very limited space. We just don't want people to call to say, I'm booking. Once you call, at least make some commitments. We know that by the 8th of June, 1 full week from the program, we should have finished paying, and we know that we are very secured. If we are going with a bus of 50 people, we don't want it to be too big. So very limited spaces available. Please do call us. Let's engage. If you are also a company out there, you want to be part of this as a sponsor, please do call the same number 05486189000. Then we'll be so glad to have you on board.
Fantastic. So thank you so much.
Thank you too.
I'm a father. My wife is watching. I'm a father. I need to be on this trip. So it's happening from the 13th to the 15th of June to celebrate fathers and their contributions, immense contributions. So if your boss is also annoying you, just book this particular trip for your boss. Let your boss go and come and see if your salary will not be increased. Well, that's the package. Please call the numbers 054-8618-900. Speak to Cecil and let's get to be a part of this. Thank you. Cecil, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'll be right back after this. Take care. Well, thank you so much for staying with us here on GH today. It's time to bring you a conversation about music, not just any kind of music, but gospel music. And it's a privilege to have in studio this morning Yvonne Mensah. Yvonne, welcome.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Nyarko.
My goodness. And who is Yvonne Mensah?
Okay, thank you. Good morning to everyone watching GHTV. So Yvonne Mensah is a gospel person.
Right.
I'm a church girl. I was born in Takoradi, specifically New Takoradi. I want a mini. Okay, so I do gospel music and a fashion designer as well.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So you combine both?
Yes.
Beautiful. Yes. Now, how many years have you been doing music?
Music. Okay. Let's say 2 decades. Yes.
20 years?
Yes.
Wow. Now, I'm tempted to ask a certain question, but I won't ask because they say it's not polite to ask women how old they are. But then
I know any problem.
But no, then women will say, okay, this is what God has called you to do.
Okay, like I started making me a church girl, so music and started with church. So you know what church I have the encouragement and the prophecies, the way music and air people accept it. So this is a God-given talent. So what do you mean in your battle? So that's how Yvonne Mensah came about. Yes.
So all the while you have known that this is what God wants you to do. But at what point now can I say, okay, you know what? Let me do this mainstream.
Okay. 2019.
Okay.
But 2010 made the album out. Yes.
Okay.
But one or two things it didn't go well. So and then we came back in 2019.
Right. And that's when you bounce back onto the scene.
Yes.
People say that in Ghana we don't get people investing in gospel music. Say a secular event or secular music, you have all the companies want to be a part of it. In fact, making the secular artists even brand ambassadors. But that does not apply to gospel. What is accounting for that? Is it a case?
Yes, it's a case. I don't know why, but I don't actually know the particular reason why I want my support them back gospel that strongly. Maybe we did the secular, not like people patronize it more than.
But we are a nation of what?
Yes, but I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know.
Right.
Why. Yes.
Right. But is that a challenge?
Yes, it is. When financially, music, it's not easy. It's not easy. The support is not there like how you want it, but if we are doing it small, we'll get there.
So how are you able to do it? Because it's not an easy journey. It's capital intensive. Because when say bookie studio craft for one session, it's so much money. So how are you able to do it?
Also because I'm a fashion designer, so I do music aside.
Right.
I do half.
Okay.
Music half and me put my dance so half. Right. So you need to go Canadian and programs cancel and also
So how has the reception been to your music? Because like I said, in 2010 you came out fully. It didn't go too well. You bounced back in 2019. How has the reception been since 2019?
Oh, so far I will not say it's bad, but okay. Me say bibi asha say nye easy, but so far the America say on my energy atum. So it was a be food your part near piano, but it was a Mensabi. It was a and as your ministry has been an impact to them. So they will not say pressure, but no be a blessing, and I'll be say or you wish no be a wish. So it almost good, but you know why they are bumpire and I say the church a memory, but a crank any bad, yes.
And what about the industry itself? Because Matiti in some say, in the secular world, in the Afrobeat, the Afrobeat artists, yes, we are beef, but then they are okay. But gospel, we are not as united as would have wanted it to be. How about the industry? How's the industry treated you?
Sometimes in some people why you but but any nimpanyina na ebeje watu me sana me hu no but kakra na me ben omo open up to me, so I can say that the gospel no there omo ji utum but wo gina echi a na wo e say obi wa on to me mfa ne hu me I just say wa approach no, so say wo approach there sana be say gospel no mo nkasa hu, but until you get closer to them and I say wo approach him ono so tini baby I say obi adwene hu but wo approach and I say wo be mu dia ye ji utum me say me ji obi atum nti ebia minim say de obi ko bi ncheman na wanje o mantum, but me side there me say they need any negative ehibia it was side.
Right. So talk to me about your music. What kind of gospel music? Because man say I'm not for some here gospel reggae or mere gospel Afrobeat. Okay. So what specific genre? Are you a worshipper? Are you into praises? What really are you?
Me am an all-round musician. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Wow.
I do high life reggae.
Okay.
Worship. Yes. Uko me page. We say, and that's uko me YouTuber. We say me all round. So
you are very versatile.
Yes.
Wow. And how many songs do you have to your credit so far?
Okay, I have an album and 2 singles.
Oh.
But this single, EP,
okay,
and I release this particular.
That's your new project?
Yes, my new project, Nyarko. Yes, this is the new one we are projecting.
So talk to me about Nyarko. Like, what's the story behind? Because when you say gospel for there is no single song that does not have a story behind it, an encounter behind it.
Nyarko is my story, my own story, the lives of me and my mother. Okay. Yes, Nyarko. It wasn't easy, but today make us say you ndru baby I pese ye kode, but baby ye dru dey be ka say nyame hu ye mobo Nyarko. The story is not the same as it used to be. Yes.
So it's more like you're not where you want to be, but you're also not where you used to be.
Yes.
And we need to be grateful for that.
I'm always grateful. Yes.
Right.
I'm a grateful person. I'm always grateful for the little that God gives to me, or God. Yes. So Nyarko is a testimonial song.
Okay.
Yes.
And so is it out yet? Can people get to stream it?
Yes, it's out. Nyarko is on all the digital platforms, all the social media platforms. Ubo even men's Nyarko in Kwadia. Ubenye BT. Even men's now all the social media platforms also.
Right.
Ubo even men's in Kwadia bebia ubenya even men's in Witi Nyarko BT. Apart from Nyarko, I have so many wonderful renditions, medleys. That would be a blessing. I want to tell you that just visit my YouTube for a day. You'll be blessed. Yes.
Right. And you also do live performances.
Yes. I normally do live performances.
That's what you normally do.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, well, my Nyarko briefly, and then we'll come back and wrap up the conversation with Igbo Mens. All social media platforms, especially YouTube. When you just go to YouTube, type in Igbo Mens, you get a plethora of her music and get to be blessed by that music. And so, what does the future look like for Igbo Mens and your ministry?
Yes, Igbo Mens is a blessing to the whole, not only Ghana, the whole wide. Right. So, Empire and say years ahead. What's Igbo Mens Dina? And yet, impact in making in music now, it will blow your mind. And only Empire will say, you will not just hear a name, just a name, but you hear what God is doing through Yvonne Mensah with music.
Are there people you look up to in ministry?
Oh, I don't have a mentor, but I look up to all the great ministers and gospel musicians in Ghana. They are doing great. They've paved the way for us, so they have done a great job. And I want to say, because do
you write your own songs?
Yes, I do.
Hey, so you're not just an artist, but you also compose your own music.
I do, but if you have a good music and you give to me, I'll gladly receive it.
Yes. So how can people connect with you?
Okay, so just contact me on 059 101 3989.
Including people who want to push your ministry.
Yes, the same number 059 101 3989. You get me personally. Yvonne Mensah be a yepono. Obi bia minim se nkofo bebre Yvonne Mensah aye nshira ma omo.
Right.
Yes. Yvonne Mensah aye obi wa wati di Yvonne Mensah and say we tie me nyum, but we need me personally. So if you want to bless Yvonne Mensah ministry, my number is 059 101 3989. Ubenya me personally ni edi nkomo bia o pese.
But are you on social media? We are active in social media.
Very active.
That they can also reach you.
Yes, very active. We chat me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Maybe.
All right. Okay, Nti, let's take a listen to Nyame Akaime by Yvonne Mensah, and then we'll come and wrap up the conversation here. Akaime by Yvonne Mensah, and you can also stream on all platforms. It's live there, and you'll be a blessing. What are your final words?
Okay, the American say, Ghana, this is your own Yvonne Mensah. More supporting Yvonne Mensah. Minim dia offer man pay, but me catch say just go to my YouTube and type Yvonne Mensah and you may and if you want to support Yvonne Mensah music, Yvonne Mensah ministry, me be me pono. My number is 059 101 3989 and you be come off fefe. Opesa will support Yvonne Mensah. Opesa Bibia Opesa we be. I'm there.
God bless you. God bless you for coming. So that's Yvonne Mensah music helping us with the conversation this morning. Go follow her and be a blessing. That's our wrap up the show here on GHOne Television. I am Joshua Kodjo. We're back same time tomorrow with the Friday edition of the show. Do have a wonderful morning.